The text arrived on a Tuesday morning while I was out back pruning my roses. 3 sentences from my daughter-in-law Renee, as tidy and polite as a note from a neighbor you have never quite warmed to. Dorothy, we want the wedding to have a very cohesive aesthetic. We have decided to keep the guest list intimate and curated. We hope you understand. I read it twice standing in the yard. Then I set my pruning shears down on the porch railing and walked inside to make coffee. Let me take you back to how it all started. My granddaughter Lily is 26 years old and she has her mother's laugh and her grandfather's stubbornness and a heart that is entirely her own. When my son Mark and his first wife divorced, Lily was 4. I was not her custodial grandmother. I had no legal claim on any particular Tuesday or any weekend. But I showed up anyway. Every Tuesday, every other weekend, for 12 years without a single gap. I taught her to roll pie crust properly, which she still claims changed her life. I sat in cold parking lots at 6 in the morning waiting for her swim meets to end, a cup of coffee and a paperback my only company. When she was 16 and a boy at school had been cruel to her, she came to my kitchen and cried for 2 hours, and I fed her pasta and did not push her to talk before she was ready. She did not need someone to fix everything. She needed someone to show up. I showed up. The night before her college applications were due, she called me at 10 o'clock in a full panic. She said she did not know what to say about herself. I told her exactly what to say. She got into 3 of her 4 schools. Lily met her fiancé Daniel 3 years ago. Good young man. The kind who listens when other people are talking, which I consider the only real measure of character. They got engaged last spring at a restaurant in the city. I saw the photos on her Instagram before she even called me. That was fine. When she called that evening, I could hear the happiness in her voice, and that was all I needed. The trouble began with Renee. Renee is Daniel's mother. I met her at the engagement party in April. She arrived beautifully dressed and extremely organized, and she shook my hand and looked at my blue cardigan and said, "How charming." Not unkind, exactly. The way you might say it about a piece of vintage pottery at an estate sale you do not intend to purchase. I filed that moment away the way I do. I did not use it right then. I simply kept it. The first real sign came in May. Lily called, breathless with excitement, to tell me about the venue they had found. An estate called Ashwood Hall. Chandeliers, a garden ceremony space, tall windows, exactly everything she had always imagined. Then she told me the deposit was $12,000, and her voice went a little quiet after that number. I asked what she and Daniel had saved. $6,000. Renee was contributing $5,000. She was still short $1,100 and was going to ask the venue for 1 more week while they figured it out. I told her not to worry about it. The next morning I called Ashwood Hall, gave them my card number for the remaining balance, and asked about their payment plan for the total. $1,200 a month, automatic, for 10 months. I set it up without another word about it and told Lily that evening. She called me 3 times that day. She kept saying, "Grandma, you did not have to do that." I told her it was my genuine pleasure. And it was. That was September. What I found in my email in January changed what I believed about where I stood. Lily had accidentally forwarded me a long thread between herself and Renee. Deep in the middle of it, Renee had written, "I love Dorothy, but she's not exactly the Ashwood aesthetic. Have you thought about whether she'd really be comfortable in that environment?" Lily had replied, "She's my grandmother." Renee had written back, "Of course. I just want everything to feel cohesive." I closed the email. I made dinner. I did not call anyone that night or the following morning. Some things deserve to sit for a while before you decide what to do with them. Then came the Tuesday morning text. I sat at my kitchen table for a long time after I read it. My coffee went cold. Through the window I could see my neighbor Gerald walking his dog the way he does every single morning, letting it stop and sniff the mailbox, completely unhurried. A very ordinary morning. I thought about Lily at 4 years old asleep in my guest room. I thought about February cold and parking lots and 6 o'clock mornings. I thought about pasta at midnight and college essays at 10 o'clock at night. I thought about $12,000 sitting quietly on a credit card I had been paying down without one word of complaint or expectation. And I thought about the word curated. I am 73 years old. I have spent a great deal of my life being gracious about things that deserved a stronger response. I have been patient and accommodating and generous without keeping score. But there is a difference between grace and allowing someone to erase you. I had found the line. I was done standing quietly on the wrong side of it. That afternoon I called Ashwood Hall. I spoke with the events coordinator, a young woman named Claire. I told her that my circumstances had changed and I needed to discontinue the monthly installment payments effective immediately. I asked her to contact the family directly regarding any remaining balance, and I gave her my son Mark's number. I thanked her. I hung up. I did not cry on that phone call. I did not explain myself or leave any message for anyone to find. I simply removed my name and my card number from a celebration I had been quietly asked to leave. Then I watered my plants. Made dinner. Read for an hour before bed. I slept better that night than I had in weeks. There is something clarifying about a decision that is both entirely fair and entirely within your rights. 4 days later my phone rang at 7 in the morning. It was Mark. Mom. His voice had that particular tightness he gets when he is trying to stay calm and not quite managing it. Ashwood Hall called. They're saying there's a $4,800 balance outstanding and the automatic payments have stopped. Do you know anything about that? I stopped them, I said. A pause. You've been paying for the venue. Since September, I said. Lily was short on the deposit. I covered it and set up the installments. $1,200 a month. Another pause, longer this time. Mom. Did you get Renee's text? I did. She didn't mean it the way. He stopped. Started over. Mom, why didn't you say anything to us? I told him I had not seen the need at the time. I told him I was simply making sure my financial contributions matched my invitation status, and that he should sort the remaining balance out with the venue. I told him I loved him. Then I said goodbye. He called back 17 minutes later. I let it go to voicemail. He needed a little more time to sit with it. 20 minutes after that, it was Lily. She was crying before she had formed a full word. Grandma. I did not know. I promise you I did not know about the payments. Her voice broke clean through. She told me you understood. She said you were completely fine with it. I was not fine with it, I said. Quiet and simple as that. I am so sorry. She said it 4 times in a row. Then, please come. Grandma, please. You are the reason we even have that venue. Please. I told her I would think about it. I let her sit with that until evening. Not to punish her, she had done nothing wrong, but because I needed to be sure of myself when I said yes. I called her back at 6. I told her yes. I told her I had actually found my dress back in October, around the time I first started to sense which way the wind was blowing. A deep green satin with a wrap front. She laughed through the last of her tears, exactly the way she laughed at 16 after the pasta and the crying. Renee did not call me directly. She had Mark relay a careful apology on her behalf. I accepted it without drama. She is Daniel's mother and she will be in this family's life for a very long time. I did not need her humbled. I only needed the truth to be known. It was. The wedding was in June. Ashwood Hall in the late afternoon, warm gold light through tall windows, those chandeliers doing precisely what chandeliers are made to do. When Lily walked down the aisle and reached my row, she stopped. Right there, in front of everyone, in her gown, with Daniel waiting at the far end of that long aisle, she stopped and took my hand in both of hers and held it for 3 full seconds. Then she kept walking. I wore my green dress. I danced twice. Claire from the venue found me during cocktail hour, recognized my name on the seating chart, and came over to introduce herself. She said the hall looked beautiful that evening. I agreed with her completely. My son refilled my water glass at dinner 3 times without being asked. That was his apology. I accepted it too. There is something they do not tell you about growing older. People see patience and they read it as weakness. They see a woman who has learned grace and they assume she has forgotten how to hold a line. They forget that quiet is not the same as powerless. I did not yell. I did not threaten or scheme or send a single angry word to anyone. I simply stopped writing checks for a party I had been uninvited from. The truth found its own voice, and it turned out to be quite loud enough without any help from me. Lily sends me photographs every week without fail. Last Tuesday she sent one of her and Daniel on their front porch in the evening light. Underneath she wrote, "Thinking of you, Grandma." That is enough. That has always been enough. Tell me in the comments, have you ever found that the quietest decision you made turned out to be the most powerful one?